Boom, baby. We are live. Good morning to everybody, and welcome to Interview with the Man, episode number 261. I am joined today by a guy who is going to be joining us in October as a speaker at the Rule Zero Live event in Las Vegas, Nevada. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you, the one and only Mr. Stirling Cooper. Good morning, Stirling. Thank you so much for doing this super early show.
Good morning, Jonathan. And it is, for me, it is a super early show. For you, it's like what, 10, 11 o'clock for you?
10 o'clock. I've been up since 5 a.m. thanks to my little bundle of joy here. So I'm going to be going to bed right after this. But yeah, it's great to have you on the show, bright and early out there in Los Angeles. And so you are working currently in the adult film industry, and
well, technically, because of the whole COVID thing, no one is working right now in our industry. But yes, I am.
Right.
I'm still. Hopefully, once we go back to work, I'm still gainfully employed as an adult performer.
Awesome. And so you seem to be somewhat of a sex expert, I would say.
To a degree, yeah.
To a degree, yeah. Let's just jump right into it. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Mr. Cooper. No relation to Richard Cooper. Thus, even though you have the bald head and the beard, you are not related. You're not a younger, more handsome version than he is.
When I was on his show, what was it, last week, the week before? I'd started the quarantine beard, and I said to him, I was like, man, look, I'm not trying to look like you, but my clippers broke. And Amazon isn't very quick right now with the whole lockdown at shipping, so I had to grow this quarantine beard because I don't like the whole totally clean shaven look. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it suits you well. In that photo you sent me, you look like Donald Cerrone. Has anybody told you that?
I have never heard that name.
Donald Cerrone is a UFC fighter. He recently fought Conor McGregor in lightweight division.
Ah, okay. Well, no, you're the first person to tell me that.
In that thumbnail, you look just like him.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about yourself. So where were you born?
So I'm from rural Western Australia.
Okay.
Like a small, 3,000 person apple farming town.
Wow.
Middle of nowhere.
Because the only city on the western coast, it's really Perth, right?
That's correct. It is the most isolated capital city in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. It's 5 hours away from Sydney.
Where are you? You're from? Are you from Perth?
Perth's the closest city to me. I'm from that side of the country, but in the outback.
You want to say the city name or no?
Let's keep it off air.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
I don't imagine they're going to be erecting a "This is the home of Stirling Cooper" sign anytime soon. But yeah.
So, how old are you?
Right now, I'm 33. Birthday's in. I just turned 33 this year. So.
Wow, no, I'm older than you. Wow, I mean, you look like a burly man who's traveled the world and been thousands of women.
I am a burly man who has been in the world.
Fantastic, man.
That's why I get cast a lot as the stepdad. Is because I have I don't look like a baby. I look like a mature gentleman. So I get
like a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm cursed with the baby face, but it is what it is. I bought a dog to compensate.
Yeah, yeah. But basically, from rural Western Australia, I actually have a chemistry degree. Went through university.
Wow.
Did got a double degree in chemistry.
Chemistry's really hard.
I always found it really. It just came to me naturally, and I always likened it to being a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
I could throw two things together, and poof, I've got something different. I always kind of found that appeal very interesting. Did all that. Lived a very, very blue pill beta lifestyle up until my early 20s when I got into the PUA scene.
Okay, what brought you into that?
Not getting laid, basically. Not getting laid and having bad breakups. A couple of really bad breakups.
Wow, what a critical turn. Now you're a porn star.
Yeah, right. The irony, the girl I lost my virginity to, the 3-year relationship in high school kind of like, entwined lovers, then broke my heart early relationship. She had I masturbated a lot to porn at a young age. She hated it, so she tried to like guilt trip me about the whole porn thing.
Oh, no.
Maybe that's what eventually sort of.
Did she use Jesus to guilt you?
No, she wasn't religious.
Okay.
No.
What would she say?
Like you don't. If you're looking at porn, it means you don't love me. That kind of crap.
Oh my God! Girls will do anything. If you have a car, she'll be like, you love that car more than me. You need to get rid of that car. Like that just shows you how insecure the average girl is.
I think the thing that really ticked her off was one day, like, I think it was like one day I was at her house, and I made her suck me off while I watched porn.
Oh yeah.
I think that really like pissed her off.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
15.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I lost mine like a week before I turned 18.
Huh.
Yeah, I was a little bit of a late bloomer.
Yeah. See, I was an early bloomer, but then I had a really bad dry spell after that relationship ended.
Mm-hmm.
And like 3 years, like the sort of formative years at the end of high school, early university,
mm-hmm.
my identity was like tied to this chick. And then that world disappeared, and I had to figure out who the hell I was,
Yeah.
And that sort of led towards the going down the self-development route and the PUA thing. And then eventually entrepreneurship. I started a couple of businesses. And then eventually I said, well, it got to the point in my late 20s when I sold my last business and decided to pursue a career in adult entertainment.
What was that business?
That was a paleo meal delivery business.
Wow. And what year was that?
That was 2017.
Oh, okay. So relatively recently you got it. Yeah. It's funny. Like I always liken it to this. I feel like there's two types of guys. The guys who like really get it with girls, it kind of frees their mind. And then they have like, well, I have all this, like, I have this sexual choice now. Like, I have freedom. Because remember when you're like, before you had the understanding of like female nature, you were kind of like a slave to sex. You were just like, oh, I just need to do these things and then I'll get some sex. But once you realize you have choice, I feel like that kind of infects other areas of your mind. You're like, you know what? I don't like my fucking boss. And I think I could do my job better than him. Like, why don't I just give it a shot? And I see a lot of guys who, like, get red pilled or whatever. Eventually, they take their own business and finances into their own hands. And guys who really excel at it, they become, like, super finance masters. Interesting how that happened to you. What guy brought you into the PUA or the red pill thing, if you will?
Well, I kind of make those two things distinctly different in my mind.
Okay.
The PUA thing, it started off with a friend of mine told me to look up, God damn it, what was his name? The cocky funny guy.
David D'Angelo.
Yeah. He showed me some David D stuff, and that sort of sent me down the rabbit hole, and then like the Mystery Method and a bit of RSD and Miao and a few other guys. And then
Miao, what a fucking dork! That guy.
He was actually one of the guys I learned a lot from early on, and sort of put some of his stuff into practice.
Really?
Yeah, with a lot of success, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh wow! When I watched his stuff, because I'm like,
I completely agree with you though. Total dork.
Yeah.
Like, but the dude, like, anyway, with your assessment, I'll let you continue. His stuff worked for me.
That's fantastic. No, I mean, I kind of grew up as like a natural. So when I saw this Miao guy, I was like, there is no way this dork is pulling top tier girls right now. And what happened to him? Did he fade away or what?
He was from my understanding, he was involved in internet marketing before or while he was learning, like when he was learning pickup off of like RSD Tyler and Mystery and stuff. I think he might have even done some of the sales copy for these guys.
Yep.
And that's how he kind of got into the space, and then decided and just wrote his own sales copy and his own stuff. And I think he used to play the whole Hollywood producer angle. That was kind of his style. That's his image, I guess, when he was going out to clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he kind of dressed that way,
What did you learn from him? Like,
what
really opened your eyes and whatnot?
he had this whole technique. Shit, I can't remember the exact name he gave it. It was something like value velocity. That was what he called it. So the concept was like funny, entertaining, humorous, like attractive people talk in smaller, shorter, punchier sound bites. So the concept was the more value you can pack into the least amount of words has a bigger emotional impact and makes you look less needy, makes you look less like you're putting less effort into a conversation. So that's it's kind of the same as cocky funny, really, right? Yeah. You're saying something short, sharp, and punchy, right? So that was one of his key things, and then he basically took like the mystery method stuff and just like repackaged it a little bit. And then there was another element he added in there, which really, this is the thing that really helped me, because mystery method had all this stuff about like attraction, comfort, and seduction, right? And he would watch this, and Miao would watch like dudes who were more like quote unquote naturals, and looked at how they talked, and they didn't talk like that. He was like, these guys aren't doing what mystery says everyone should be doing, right?
Right.
What he observed was that guys would talk in sound bites, and they would throw and each sound bite might be an attraction sound bite, it might be a comfort sound bite, but then he also thought that guys would throw in like some edgier sound bites, basically things that made them sound like an asshole, and then like seductive sexual sound bites, so things that would make that would kind of spike her sexually. And he would say that these four different conversational elements would be just constantly on a loop at all times, rather than breaking it down into like dunk, 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 you know? A different approach. It sort of, it kind of helped you develop a more like natural, free-flowing, free association conversational style.
Yeah, interesting. You know, it's funny. I've noticed like the biggest red flag with the guys who, I feel a lot of guys talk the talk, but behind the scenes they really don't walk the walk. Like, you know, they're digital alphas, and a lot of guys, they're really good at like digital marketing, email marketing, copywriting. They can sell anything, but the thing is, when you're selling to guys that aren't getting the sex that they want, they can be pretty naive to buy anything, and I think these guys really hit the ground running. Do you know? Is he a millionaire? Is he like retired from the game now, or what's he all about?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. He lives here in LA. I know that much.
Really, he's still out there.
Yeah, he's still out here. He's not. I had him on Facebook for a while, and he was doing like what do they call them? Like sound bath parties in his mansion.
Sound bath parties?
Yeah, like everyone sits in this like dimly lit room with like bean bags, and they hit like a bell, and the echo like rings through the room or something. Not my cup of tea.
Los Angeles, man.
That is a very Los Angeles thing. Yeah.
Jesus.
God.
That's funny, man. That is hilarious.
I would not be living in this city if this wasn't the heart of my industry. I'll tell you that right now.
Let's talk about that. I don't know if you watched my show, but I'm not the biggest fan of Southern California.
I can see why.
What is it with you? Because honestly, when the thing about me is this. Let me talk about the positive side first, because it's Hollywood, right? Everybody's putting on a really beautiful front, and that really translates into really good customer service. I'll notice that the customer service in LA, the people are clean, they're very friendly, on the surface level, and they're very socially fluent, you know. But the bad side is like a lot of people are full of shit in LA. Like a lot of these people are just full of shit. Talk, no walk. I'm fantastic. I'm going to be the next biggest thing. Yes, I live in a house and I share a 1-bedroom studio with 4 other people, and I have $300 in my bank account, but I'm going to be a multi-billionaire. Like, yeah.
It's that, and it's because the whole like SJW thing is so ingrained here. This is kind of like here and San Francisco. San Francisco is really the hub of all that kind of crap.
I know.
But here is like just as bad. And you get all these people who think I'll say they're oblivious to the harsh nature of reality.
Yep.
Because they live in this touchy-feely, cuddly rainbow world of Southern California where everything is fine, and we're just going to ignore all the homeless people living under the bridge down the road. That's the thing that blew me away when I moved to LA for the first time. I mean, Australia is a beautiful, beautiful country for anyone who has not been there. Trust me.
Yeah.
And you'd really appreciate that. I've lived in slums around the world deliberately. Like when I went traveling around the world for like a couple of years, I've lived in South Korea, near where you guys are.
Awesome.
Korean
girls are hot as fuck.
Lots of plastic surgery for Korean girls. But the thing that
surgery capital of Asia.
Yeah. The thing that blew me away coming to LA was like you'll have some of the most opulent mansions and like the wealthiest people in the world living like a few miles away from Skid Row. Like some of the worst poverty I've ever seen. There's parts of downtown LA that I am more afraid to walk down than a favela in Rio de Janeiro.
Really? God, that's bad.
And I've been to Brazil multiple times. I love Brazil, but I've lived in favelas. And it's just, and I'm like, I'm nowhere near as scared to walk through a favela. Because like once you've done it a few times, you get your street smarts about you. Kind of, how to carry yourself. You know how to not look like a mark, shall we say, right? Definitely. But if you're walking downtown LA, the guy's like cracked out. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Yeah, it's a totally different kettle of fish, man.
And you're a everyone here is too, right? You look like you're a pretty burly guy. You tall? You big boy?
6 foot, 200 pounds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like, that's pretty decent amount of size for you to be afraid of still walking around as like.
Well, if someone's like, I think everyone should be afraid of cracks' heads. To be perfectly honest.
Fair play. Yeah. Yeah. LA. I got to say, something else. I've only knew a couple girls from LA, and like the one girl that I knew from LA, I don't want to. It just seems to me like, from what I picked up on some of these girls in LA, that they, it's almost like these girls, like, they take pride in being a pseudo victim. Like, it's almost fashionable. Like this one chick I knew, she was 19, and she claimed she got raped, right? Whatever, okay? But she didn't go to the police. She didn't file a report, but she did make multiple Instagram stories about it to her thousands of followers. But she knew the guy. She knew his address. She knew his ID. She knew everything about him, but she didn't go to the police. And I asked her, I was like, why don't you fucking go to the police? Like, if he legitimately did this to you, like, they can do a test. You can get criminal data about this guy and put him in jail. Like, why did you not do it? She's like, you don't understand. You're so insensitive. You're an asshole. Spazzed out on me and blocked me. And to this day, she hasn't filed charges against this guy.
That is absolutely true. The whole being a victim is currency here.
Yes.
And that's
it's like
something,
a status symbol, right?
Yeah, and that is such the antithesis to the way I live my life. Like, I am not a fucking victim. No matter, it's kind of crazy. Like, coming in, like, I walk around here, everyone sort of like thinks I'm just like your average white guy, like suburban white guy from America, right? Until I open my mouth and they hear the accent.
Automatically evil, right? White, straight,
well,
male,
like
evil guy.
automatically privileged.
Yeah.
But I'm a goddamn immigrant. Like, you motherfuckers were born here.
You white,
like, you had an advantage over me. Yeah, but we're getting a bit off track. I think.
No, it's
golden. I can rag on LA all day. So
it's golden. No, this is more of like a free flow style interview. We got some guys with questions, but so tell me about this then. You started with PUA, you got the Miao and all that stuff, and you said that the PUA and the actual red pilling were separate experiences. Tell me about that.
Yeah, for me at least, red pill, like Rollo's work was like my red pill introduction, right? And actually, my best friend was the guy who recommended The Rational Male to me.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, PUA is like what gets you in the door. You know, it's like, how do you meet girls? How do you attract girls? How do you get girls interested in you? How do you sleep with chicks, right? And Red Pill is more relationship management, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It teaches you like the underlying. It does teach you like sort of overarching principles that can understand general male or female dynamics on like a societal level. But
Right.
I find Red Pill stuff way more practical on like relationship management level and like understanding, you know, why marriages fail, why lots of LTRs fail,
Mm-hmm.
and how to sort of mitigate that and screen and prevent that in the future.
Yeah, man. And you know what? Especially as, I'm a coach doing this stuff full time now, like, it is just crippling to see how many guys are just fucking blue pill normies.
Mm, mm.
Like, dude, it's like 95% of all people.
Oh yeah, I mean, and my industry too is full of blue pill alphas.
The worst.
Right? So there's a lot of dudes that like, I mean, not all of them, to be honest. Like probably. So there's a weird thing with porn. Like porn is, when you get into the porn industry, it is just like going back to high school,
Mm-hmm.
because there's cliques. There's like your top tier chicks are like the fucking cheerleaders or whatever. Yeah, the top ranking dudes at the time are like the jocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's everybody else like in between, and like you got and then there's all the directors and the producers and the camera guys and the audio guys and all that kind of crap. They're kind of like, I don't know, like the teachers and the staff and like the lunch lady, you know.
And they try to play part of the game too.
Yeah, exactly. Except they're all hitting on each other. Like
Right.
everyone's allowed to fuck each other, unlike in high school, right? So you get a lot of these dudes who are genuinely like. I mean, some of the top dudes in our industry were like ex-athlete. I mean, ex-military. A lot of ex-military dudes.
Really?
A lot of like college level athletes. And so they're alpha, but they have this very blue pill, blank slate equalism mind frame when it comes to men and women. Men and women are exactly the same. And that flows over into every aspect of our industry. I don't know if like many of your viewers have ever watched a porno,
Mm-hmm.
but all of the scripts and the plots
Mm-hmm.
are basically from like a blue pill perspective. Like there's no even in porn, which is really weird. There's barely any porn that's written which is like describing like a genuine attraction kind of scenario where like it's like, you know, an alpha kind of dude like being a man, being masculine, and then a woman falling for him. It's like it's more of this comedic kind of stuff where it's like the dude's a pleb, the dude's like a bumbling idiot, and then, you know, she just wants cock for some random reason.
Do you think they'd write that to like target their demographic?
Probably, yeah. I mean, like, these guys write what sells. Let me just say that they like the main the big corporations that run the porn industry now. There's two main porn kind of conglomerates that own most of the porn in the world. They are like Google and YouTube. Like they so there's the overarching company. The biggest one is MindGeek. They're a Canadian company. They own Pornhub, and the whole subsidiary also owns Brazzers, Digital Playground, Reality Kings, and a couple other big websites. So like these are the biggest studios on the planet. So they have all the search data from Pornhub and all the viewership data from Pornhub, and they use all that information to figure out what scripts sell the best or get the best clicks and views and things.
Wow, that's interesting. You know, I've never been to Pornhub.
Good for you.
I mean, there was a joke about like apparently when Pornhub starts, there's like a drum and a snare that hits or something, like
at the very beginning, yeah.
Everybody's like, this is so hilarious, and they're playing. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't know. I don't, I'm not an advocate of porn because I feel like if you want to There's a guy who's a porn star in my community. Ed's actually in L.A. You should meet him. He's a great guy. But I feel like when guys want to get their dating life sorted out, if they supplicate by like jerking off and watching porn all the time, they're not going to go out and do the work. They're just going to like kind of be like, I don't want to do this.
Absolutely, man. It's sedative. It's like, and it's funny whenever like No Fap November comes around, like it's so funny. You see all the girls and all these like all the kind of like simpy dudes in our industry get all up in arms, like trying to preach the complete opposite. Like, no, it's okay. Masturbate as much as you like. I mean, I don't give a fuck. If you want to touch yourself, go right ahead. But it's like, there's also, I understand that there is benefit to not masturbating because I've done it myself. I've done like extended periods of not fapping, and it's an old school like, I'm not like a woo woo like kind of guy, but there's an old school self development principle from Think and Grow Rich, I think.
Napoleon Hill, yeah.
Might have been that one.
Sexual
transmutation of sexual energy, right?
Yep.
Which sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's not really. It's just like, it's more like preservation of testosterone, if anything.
Yeah, because after you have sex, you're fucking spent. You don't want to do anything but eat a sandwich.
Exactly. So like, when you don't do that, you have all this pent up like sexual energy. You got to channel it into something. Channel it into the gym. Channel it into like boxing. Channel it into fucking going to the bar and hitting on chicks. Channeling it into your work, whatever. You can get super focused and productive on like a period of like no masturbation. Yeah, but it could be, if you're a guy who hasn't got many sexual options in the first place, trying to convince him to give up, jerking off is going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, definitely. And they just don't seem to understand it. But definitely, like so what I've noticed with myself personally is like I'll fucking go to the gym, I'll chad the fuck out, I'll get like super jacked, I'll get super shredded, and then I'll have like 5 or 6 girlfriends, and I'll just fucking fuck for like 3 months and like not go to the gym. Because after you fuck a girl, your DNA is like, keep doing this, like you're doing it well. It's like a weird. Do you ever get that? Like, I get like a weird sense of satisfaction after I have sex with a hot girl. Like, I fucking did something with my life. And it's like, I just fucked a hot girl. That's all I did.
It's like your body tells you, like, you're like, you don't need to improve. Everything is fine.
Keep
we
procreating.
We passed the seed on. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like, I'll get that feeling, man. If I have a busy week and I shoot like 5-7 scenes in a week, I'll get that, and I'm like. When you're on set, like, don't get me wrong, my job is not that difficult. Like, not everyone can do it,
right?
But it's not that difficult. I say a few lines, I ejaculate on someone's face, I go home.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, after you do that, you kind of don't want to go to the gym afterwards. You're like, life's good.
Yeah,
I'm fucking fine.
You have to be definitely dedicated, and like because I'm pretty sure for the men, like, you have to be in pretty decent shape, right?
Yeah. You like, cardiovascular fitness is like probably the most important thing in our industry.
Why is that?
Well, because first of all, you're basically fucking for like, because when we do a scene, we pretty much typically we'll shoot all the dialogue setup kind of stuff first, and then we'll stop, and then we'll do the sex stills, which is basically like we do the photographs of it. We plan out what the sex scene is going to actually be on camera, but we do it in the photographs, and then we get dressed again, and then we do the fucking.
Why did they take photographs?
For promotional purposes.
Okay.
Because typically, I mean, this is like nowadays with 4K cameras, you can kind of extract screenshots from the video, and it's like high quality enough. But the photos look better, and that you can do things easier in a photograph. Like, you can pose in like really, really uncomfortable positions in a photograph and make it look more spectacular. It's better for promotional purposes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just the name of the game.
That's cool.
Then you'll do the video. But like those two back to back, you're kind of fucking for like an hour and a half straight.
Christ, dude.
During that bit, right?
Do you take Viagra to stay up for an hour and a half, or?
Here's the thing that most guys don't understand when it comes to Viagra.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear dudes say this all the time, like, "Oh, every dude could do porn if they just take a blue pill, right?" And you learn this the hard way if you're not aware of this. Viagra does not give you a boner.
Mm.
Viagra helps you maintain a boner.
Really?
I've
never taken it before.
Big fucking difference. So, and what guys in our industry will learn, and I'm very fortunate to have learned this from older mentors of mine at a very early age in my career, of early stage in my career rather. Your body develops a resistance, like an immunity to Viagra, or to the active ingredient in Viagra.
Wow.
If you use it constantly. So eventually, if you use it like every day for like fucking 6 months, it won't do shit at the end of that 6 months, right? So guys in our industry, we have to make sure we have and this is kind of what I talk about in my book, we have a plethora of different things that we can do to make sure that this boy down here is working at full capacity, despite without using that stuff. Because so that we can save it, we can use it when we have to do a scene that is super, super difficult. So the prime example would be like double penetration gangbang kind of stuff. You know, it's like
just a day in the life.
It's just a regular day, right? So, just you and 4 other dudes getting in those holes. That is a little bit more difficult, especially because you're doing it to a camera. Like you got to open up. There's aspects of this job that most guys don't really understand, and most of that is like you're fucking at like 90 degrees to a camera.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not comfortable the way we have sex on camera for these scenes. So you got to you got to turn girls and make sure that I'm fucking for your pleasure, not my pleasure, right? I'm fucking for the pleasure of the viewer, so he can see everything. So that means like twisting and turning, and very often getting in very uncomfortable positions whilst having to keep this fucking thing going. And then when you throw in like 2 or 3 other dudes and balls everywhere, and you know all that kind of crap, man sweat. Those are the days that you take a blue pill, right? To help you to make sure you keep your edge, and on top of that you might not even you won't like come the day before. We'll use a technique called edging. Yeah. So like you'll edge yourself the day before, so you're really fucking ready to go the next day. Yeah.
That's fucking wild. Tommy wants to know: do you hang out with the hot broads after a shoot?
Hot broads. A little bit of toddy. Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like you have not every. Here's the thing: you're not going to have great chemistry with every girl.
Yeah.
Like some girls.
There's a lot of damaged girls in that industry, I would assume.
Yeah. Well, they how can I say this politely? They channel they channel it in a productive way, right? They channel it into a career that they can make a shitload of money out of. So, and they channel it in a way that can get like for a girl, infinite attention, infinite dick, tons of cash. They sort of channel it that way. What was his question again? His question was, do I hang out with them? Yeah. Sometimes it's like sometimes you'll have such great chemistry with someone that you'll like fuck in the shower immediately after the scene, or then you'll go fuck again like at each other's house and film some content afterwards. Or you'll just like, if you had a really great scene, you'll basically get each other's numbers, and then we do a thing in the industry called a content trade. So in this day and age, with things like OnlyFans and Pornhub, and there's a few other websites where we can, as performers, we can sell our own videos and our own content and make money off it that way. So what we do is 2 performers will just meet up, put your phone on record, and bang, and record it, and then sell it.
Fuck yeah.
Basically, it's so funny when you get in, like, coming from a pickup perspective. It's just like an excuse to hook up with each other without coming across creepy, especially for the dudes.
Monetize it, hell yeah! I'm all about it.
Exactly right, but especially for the dudes in the industry, because the girls are the ones that actually make money off. You know, like if they shoot like a scene, I'm going to be very broad and general with this next statement. Across their OnlyFans account, like the average porn chick, if she shoots a scene with a dude, like like a content trade with a guy, she might make $300-400 off of it, easy. Within the next couple of weeks, within a month.
That's not bad.
But most guys ain't making fucking $20 off of it.
Really?
Most male performers, because most male performers don't like. I've spent like a long time, like a good like a year and a half, like hammering down like the process of making money off of like my content, so I kind of know how to make money off it now. But that took a while for me to figure out as a guy, because as a guy you don't get as many clicks, you don't get as many views, right? But then going back to the pickup thing, it's like basically for dudes, it's like, okay, I want to get my rocks off. Who's on my phone? You want to shoot content? Okay, and then they come over and you fuck, and you just put a camera up at the same time. It's just weird like cheat code for like hooking up.
That's fantastic. This guy's asked me like 2 times now, so I'm just gonna pull up the question here. Aziz wants to know, could you ask Cooper about the size Genex device and what is his experience with it? Does it work? Thanks a lot, John.
Yes, it works, and yes, I've used it myself, and it works. So I grew my. It's one of the ways that I grew my dick. So before I got into porn, I was actually under 6 inches in length.
Mm.
And there's not many. You don't really hear many porn stars with like a below average penis. So I figured, well, stuff this. I've got to figure out like a way to maybe get this thing bigger.
Yeah.
Because the big, like generally speaking, the bigger your dick is in porn, the more often people will book you.
Fuck yeah.
Generally.
Business decision. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always that. It does come down like if you can't get an erection, no one's ever going to book you.
Right.
So number 1, get an erection. Number 2, can you come on command? And then number 3 is how big's your dick? So I spent like over the course of 8 months, I spent a good 8 months dedicated to like, this is while I was sort of very new in the business and basically networking, trying to get bookings. So I wasn't working as often.
How long have you been in this business?
3 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So not a relatively young career.
Yeah. And most dudes, like most guys tend to fall out before in the first 5 years. If you last like 5 years, you tend to go on to shoot for like 20 years. That's typically like what most dudes. So you'll get dudes in our industry who are in there like, I think the oldest guy in our industry is Steve Holmes, and he's like 60 something. Where he's in like mid 60s, and the dude is like a complete pervert. He's great. But going back to what I was saying before, in like over the course of 8 months, I managed to grow my dick by over 1 inch in length and a third of an inch in girth. I increased it over that period. And in my book, I talk about all the different techniques I use to achieve that. And I go over a few pointers for guys that might have a device like size of Genex. I talk about like, okay, here's exactly how to get the most out of this device and use it in like a really comfortable way in your everyday life, because it's kind of awkward sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. So, is it beneficial for a man to like, just like the average Joe, like just to be like, I want my dick to be bigger? Is it beneficial, you would say?
It helps when it comes to like dominating a girl, right?
Ooh.
So if your dick's a bit like, if your dick's either like long, or especially if it's thicker, like you'll hear a lot of girls, and like, because girls in my industry are very open and vocal about sex and what turns them on and this sort of stuff. It's always like longer dicks, not for them. Like we're talking like 12 inches, like fucking enormous dicks, tend to hurt them a little bit, like they're punching their cervix all day.
Yeah.
But there was a survey done a while ago called like the husband dick survey, and it sort of like charted like girth and length across like all the variables, and it found like the most sexually satisfying dick was like 8 in girth and like 7 in girth and like 8 in length, something like that.
God damn, 8 inches.
Yeah, like and that's like 7 in girth is fucking thick too. Like, but these girls want to be fucking stretched out. It's just it adds to this like dominating force in the bedroom when she's just, because the opposite of that, right? A lot of girls in my industry will escort on the side, right? And you'll hear them talk about their escorting clients, and a lot of them tend to be dudes with smaller than average dicks. And it's unfortunate, but it's very obvious hearing these girls talk about that, how they have to like, constantly lie to these dudes that, you know, it's in any way like sexually gratifying for them.
Oh wow!
I say if you're a dude with like a 3-inch dick, learn to use this motherfucker. Just stick it in there.
Yeah. I want to talk about that too. So, look, this is fantastic. I'm blown away, dude. Okay, I'll just talk about how I perform in bed. So I cannot probably keep it up for an hour straight. I'll just be fucking straight up. I've been, it's I guess a little bit of a boredom factor too. I've been with, I'm 34 and I've been with 200 chicks, so not like crazy amount but for the average guy, I would think that's a lot. And sometimes let me tell you something that personally happens to me. So sometimes I'll get really excited, but like once I make the sale, once I'm inside, if I don't like viciously pound away, I'll go soft. Like it's just like it's like a peak of excitement. Not all girls, but sometimes it'll be like I'm really really excited, and then I'll be like rock hard, and then as soon as I put it in, it's like I won. Like you know what I mean? Like I got you. Like I won I got the sale. I fucking did it. And then if I'm not heavy with the friction and the traction, I'll go soft, and that leads me to not lasting as long because I have to fucking really jackhammer this shit. You know what I mean? So as a professional, how would you alleviate that situation?
I'm trying to spit at my pre-workout. There's actually a chapter in my book about penis sensitivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of, and I know you said you don't really watch porn, so this is a slight tangent, but a lot of dudes, especially in this new, I think it's Gen Z, and even my generation, like the millennials, right, have a problem with penile sensitivity from watching too much porn, from like just a bombardment of dopamine in their brain, or by bombarding their brain with dopamine. Like you see rates of erectile dysfunction in men under the age of 30 skyrocketed with the advent of Pornhub.
Really?
Yeah, when these high definition streaming porn sites came out, there was a study, like the book. It's not a book. It's like a kind of like a podcast series called the Butterfly Effect? Yeah. By Ron Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good. He's done some really good porn journalism work. And this series, he mentions this. He talks about this skyrocketing rate of erectile dysfunction in dudes under 30, and you can see it. Like here comes Pornhub, and then like it shoots up.
Wow.
And one of the reasons for that is it's a combination of access to constant pornography and the constant novelty of like watching internet porn, plus this motherfucker, right, with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, dopamine, right, constantly bombarding the brain with that. It desensitizes those receptors, and those are the things that help you get excited and stay excited in a sexual scenario.
Holy shit! I am a fucking smartphone crackhead. I'll admit to that.
That might play a role. Genuinely, might actually play a role in that. So, one of the things I recommend guys do, and I have this in my book, is do what I call a dopamine fast, to try to basically reset your receptors in your brain, so that then a genuine, like real life sexual experience becomes even more novel than it was prior. Yeah. And then I also talk about because I talk a little bit about circumcision and the effects that has on penile sensitivity.
Mm-hmm. It lowers it, right?
Yeah, I'm circumcised, and it's a lot of the really successful dudes in my industry are not circumcised. They've all got their foreskin, and it became really apparent early on in my career that like how much longer it would take a guy like me to produce a cum shot, like a cum shot on command, right?
Yeah.
Versus a dude with a foreskin.
I'm uncircumcised, so I understand that as well.
Yeah. So like I talk a bit about like how to regain sensitivity if you have a circumcised penis, and because the glands on the dick tends to dry out over like the course of a lifetime,
right?
Because it's not covered up all the time. So there's things you can do to sort of freshen it up a little bit, and you will immediately see, like within the next day, you'll see like a far greater sensitivity of the dick.
God damn, you really do know your shit, huh?
Yeah, man, it was interesting. Like when I sat, thank you for a start.
You're welcome.
When I sat down to like. Because these are all like problems that I encountered over the course of like the first year and a half of my career. I was like, oh man, I'm having trouble with this. How can I do this better? And I would pick the brains of the older dudes, and I would like research on the internet, like how do I make my dick more sensitive? How do I do this? And then last year I sort of sat down and I thought, man, I know a fair bit about this stuff. And I sat down and like wrote a list of all the shit I knew.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can turn this into a book. And it took me like 8 months to write it all. But I compiled it all together, and then voila. Yeah, it's like a choose your own adventure book for men's sexual health.
Yeah, and let me just do a quick screen share, because I have a lot of people in the audience asking about his book. The book is How I Grew My Penis and Other Porn Industry Secrets: Biohacks that will transform your body, enhance your sex life, and leave her begging for more. Now, I would say, you guys, I'll put the link in the chat. His book is $97, and from what I've heard, it's worth every single penny. I'll put that link in the chat right now for you horn dogs out there. Get on down and get that book, because it'll help you out for sure. I always tell people this, right? By no means am I turning bitches out like you, but I say the quickest way to get a girl addicted to you is to give her mind-blowing sex. Would you agree or disagree?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this like I do this with girls who are getting fucked daily professionally. Like if it's that obvious, you know, when girls in our industry froth over you, it means you gave them good dick. Because they're getting fucked by like a different dude every 10 days of the month. You know, like if they're not busy, if they are busy, they're getting fucked by 30 different dicks every month. Right. And if they're frothing over you, it means you fucked them right.
Wow.
Because it's really the only because we're only with these girls we're on set with these girls for like 5 hours max, right? Okay, cool. You can be charming. You can, but half that time they're in the fucking makeup chair. Half that time they're in front of the camera doing lines, and you're off camera. Like, so you're not really interacting with them the entire time. Some days you are, but not all the time. So you haven't got. It's not like you've got their undivided attention for the entire. And they've also got fucking. You're just sitting there on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
So like sometimes the only way to like break through to these chicks and to get like their attention is to give them the good dick. Right. And when you do, like they're in your DMs. You know, like they're hitting you up all the time.
Oh, and they're opening you. They're saying like, "Hey, Stirling, I want to see you again."
Hey, I want to shoot content.
Always that plausible deniability, eh? I love
it. Yeah, that's the best way to phrase it. It's fucking 100% plausible deniability, because it's
fantastic.
Because not like there's not really that much dating that goes on in our industry. Like couples do form. Like there is a lot of porn. So about half of the girls in the industry are in a relationship. And some of those are with other porn stars. But in terms, you don't really see you very rarely see porn star, like a male porn star taking a female porn star out on a fucking coffee date or some shit. Yeah. It's like they'll shoot content and then they'll shoot content, they'll shoot content again. And then, all right, we're in a relationship now. Like, that's kind of the way it rolls.
This guy has a question for you. He says, would you recommend it for a man who is already adept at sex and not interested in growing his penis?
If you have a problem with, I'll talk about. Okay, let me go over that's like the title of the book, because that's obviously what most dudes are interested in.
For sure.
But I'll talk about the different chapters in the book really, really briefly, so you know what else is in there. So
take your time. I'm here all night.
Yeah, but it's like almost 7 a.m. here. I got
Yep.
I got boxing at like 10 a.m. So I got plenty of time.
Good. You go shoot some. You gonna shoot any content today?
Not with my boxing coach. No.
Good.
He's in his 60s. He's not into that. He's happily married.
God bless him. Sounds like a great guy.
So I talk about how to grow your penis. Actually, I'm gonna really quickly bring up my own contents page so I don't miss anything.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got my little cheat sheet right here. Oh, where is it?
I mean, I'm already intrigued. I'm packing I'm packing just north of 6 inches, but
North of 6 inches.
Just north of 6 inches. But I'm feeling like maybe I might give this a shot. Like I there's
well,
a couple
look,
people.
John, let me know. I'll flick you a copy for free, man. You don't have to worry about that.
Fuck yeah, I'll read it.
You never read it, and you can let me know what you like. I actually had. Do you know who Ed Lattimore is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan of crackheads.
Big fan of crackheads. So I actually reached out to him when I was releasing the book for some Twitter advice, and he had a read of it, and he fucking loved it.
Yeah.
He had some really, really great things to say about the book. But let me go. For those guys who are curious, here's all the different chapters in the book and all the things I cover. So I talk about how to increase the length and the girth of your dick. Mm-hmm. I talk about how to get stronger, longer lasting erections. That's probably one of the most important chapters in the entire book. I cover a bunch of different techniques that we use in the industry to get strong, long lasting erections. You know, we have to fuck for like an hour plus without breaks. You know what I mean? I talk about how to get a more sensitive dick. Mm-hmm. If you're one of these guys who happen to have problems like that, because I used to live with a guy who, like, super high testosterone dude, like trader, you know, London trader, and would bring girls home all the time, but he couldn't orgasm while he was fucking them, right? And there's a lot of guys, a lot of younger dudes have this same problem. So that's what that chapter's about. I talk about the opposite of that. I talk about how to last longer in bed if you happen to be a dude who has premature ejaculation problems.
Yep.
I talk about how to improve how to make your cum shot bigger. Mm-hmm. This is actually super easy to do. There's a couple of things you supplement with, and you will notice it that night. It's actually it's quite cool.
That's always good when you're dumping a huge load on their face.
Exactly. It leaves an impression. Trust me. I had one. I remember. I'm kind of renowned for this in the industry. Like, that's kind of my I don't know, my signature.
Yeah.
Is like how big my load is, and I had one scene.
The Stirling shot.
Yeah, girls very often recoil in fear.
How much are we talking?
Well, okay, so there was one scene. This is one of my favorite stories. How do I explain this visually? So we're on I'm at the corner of the bed. The girl's on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, imagine in front of me is the edge of the bed, right?
Yeah.
But she's on this side in front of me. I orgasm partially, at least, on her face. The first couple of shots of my jizz fly over her, over the bed, and landed on the director's iPhone next to the light stand on the other side of the fucking room. Like, covered the front of his iPhone.
Fuck yeah.
Yep, he still talks about that to this day. So more. I'm just going to finish this off. I talk about. I always talk about like
quick.
I talk about cardiovascular fitness, how to get stronger and a bit fitter. Mm-hmm. The strength is also pretty important for us. I talk a little bit about how to get more flexible, particularly in like the hips areas. I talk about how to push a girl's buttons properly, the different kind of things you can do in the bedroom for those. I mean, the guy who just asked the question said he's very adept in the bedroom, so he probably doesn't, that kind of thing, he's not going to benefit too much from. But guys who are a little bit less sexually experienced than guys like you and me, mm-hmm. Once you've fucked like several hundred women, you start to see patterns. You start to see, oh, okay, most girls are into this kind of stuff,
right?
And if then and how to tell if they are or not, like the physical cues you can read, because that's a big one. Like if you want to do some more extreme sex acts, shall we say, you've got to be able to read whether or not she's kind of compliant to that,
right?
Because some girls have had bad traumatic experiences in the past, and you don't want to trigger that shit in the bedroom, And I talk about the mental aspect of maintaining a boner and performance anxiety and how to avoid it. So there's like a thing I call the porn star mindset, which is basically like the 3 elements of a porn star mindset. And it's being present in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
eliminating the fight or flight response,
Mm.
and being sexually aroused.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to do our job, we have to do those three. You have to achieve those three things simultaneously. And so I talk about how you do that, and how we do that in one set with like a room full of people and lights and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I talk about is actually how to become multi-orgasmic as a guy, which is about reducing the refractory period. The refractory period is like the scientific term for like a dude, a man's inability to get an erection immediately past like post orgasm.
Yeah.
So like the time he has to take off basically between, and you can reduce that time, and there's ways you can physically hack it and get around it entirely. So you can just pop and then pop again.
Fucking hell, is that real? You do
Yeah,
that?
I've done it on camera I've done it on camera multiple times. There.
That is fantastic. Listen, Rebirth says, okay, he says, how do I last longer with the prototypical Korean girl who has a tight vaginal orifice externally and I'm decent in girth? Only them I bust in 4 minutes. Listen, that sounds like a question that can be answered with $97 purchase of Mr. Sterling Cooper's book. I would buy the book if I'm not getting any commission off of this either. I'm just saying. I mean, that sounds like a question. Could you answer that in the book?
Well, here's a weird thing. Controversial opinion. I'm not a fan of tight vaginas. I'm a fan of loose vaginas. I like loose vaginas better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what it's. Partly like some girls will do like the Kegel exercises to make their pussy like tighter.
Yeah.
But man, I'm a kind of a girthy guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of thick, so it could be a bit too much for me with a really tight one. I prefer I like it when it's like loose and I can kind of move around in there. You know? But that's just
definitely.
me. That's just
no,
me.
If it's too tight, it's not fun. Like virgin sex and all that, it's like it's no bueno. I know what you're talking about. I'm a fan of girls that are just a little like the real definition of curvy, or just maybe a little Rubenesque.
You know what I'm talking about.
That's some good pussy.
Yeah, man, it's like it's kind of in style now to have like what we call porgs, like fat ass white girl. That style. Like look at Instagram, or at least maybe it's just my Instagram because I follow them all. But it's a lot more of these girls with like thick thighs and like the wide hips, still like a narrow waist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but they got a real like curvy bottom half. I'm like,
I call those breeder class.
Yeah, dude, like you want to put a baby in them. You're like, damn.
You know
they're they can pop one out. There's plenty of room down there.
Definitely. Yeah, I've gone on record said I've slayed some dragons. I don't give a fuck. I'm a dog, man. I'm a fucking dog. Let's talk about leg count. So what's your body count at? Probably like at 500 or something.
Yeah, that's about it. I was just thinking about that. It's I mean I've shot over 300 scenes just professionally, and that's in the last like 3 years. So that's and then on top of that is like content trades. Because you'll do content trade. I love this fucking term. You'll do that with sometimes we do that with girls you just talk to on Twitter. Yeah. You've never worked with them before. You just know each other on Twitter, and your reputation within the industry allows you to do a content trade. So you add those. So from just porn alone, over 300, and before I got into porn, I think my leg count was at least 200.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But I cheated a little bit because I did I was in the swinging scene.
Mm-hmm.
I did the whole pickup thing. Then I got into the swinging scene in Australia and started
Were you just like the stud, or you were just?
Yeah.
Oh, so you would go in on married couples?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So I got it was weird. There was a website in Australia at the time. I don't know if it's still around. It was called Red Hot Pie, and it was kind of like a Plenty of Fish website, but for swinging. So it was like a swingers dating site. So you'd have a profile and you could DM people and stuff. And I started on that, and I ended up meeting single girls on that site who would then invite me to parties and things. And I also met couples who hey, come bang my missus kind of situation. So I did that for a few years.
Fuck yeah.
And then I went from that and I ended up becoming a straight male escort as well in Australia, and I got paid to do that, to bang dudes' wives.
How much?
The going in Australia, I was charging like between $500 and $700 an hour.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And how long was the typical session?
If it was just a couple, it was just like a dude wanting me to bang his wife in front of him. That would be like 1 hour. If it was like a dinner date for like a middle-aged businesswoman, 2-3 hours.
Oh man, that is fantastic, dude. That is fucking fantastic. Let me ask you this: are you familiar with these? Because you're very like you're a fucking awesome guy. Like you definitely don't live the traditional life, and you seem very unapologetic about it, and you seem to be doing very well for yourself too. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean that like in the ultimate sense of a compliment. Definitely no backhanded compliment and nothing like that. I'm not from Los Angeles, so I know you're used to that. But are you familiar with these people who call themselves MGTOW?
I'm familiar with the term, yeah.
Right. So these guys, I just want to get your take on this, okay? They have something that they believe in, and they call it the black pill, right? And they say that if you're not 6 foot tall, jacked, right, white, and good looking, that you'll never get women. You'll just never have sex, and it's absolutely impossible for you, and you just better give up and use escorts, and it's over for you. How do you feel about that as a guy who's slept with 500 women?
I feel like these guys have not stepped out into the real world. Because, like, you only need to go clubbing for like a year to see that that's clearly not the case.
Right.
Like, I've seen so many ugly motherfuckers getting laid. Yeah. Especially, when I was doing the whole pickup thing. Like, that's kind of what really drilled home the importance of game to me early on, was like going out into the field, trying to hit on chicks, and then looking around the room and seeing a dude who's shorter than me, uglier than me, different skin color to me, heaven forbid, right? Fucking making out with chicks and getting on with chicks. And it's like, okay, cool. There's like, this is validating the process. I think you guys did like a Rule Zero recently on like status, looks, money, game.
Yeah, let me ask you the question. So I'll tell you this. So in my opinion, I feel like if a guy wants to optimize to get the most sex out of life, the thing that he needs in order, number 1 is game, number 2 is high status, number 3 is good looks, and then number 4 is money. That's what I think the hierarchy in order to optimize. What would you say?
I completely agree with that.
Okay.
And one thing,
rationale.
What was that?
Could you give me a rationale on that?
Oh yeah. So first of all, like the reason I would rank them like that is because I've seen very obvious examples of in that order of one thing overcoming the next one, right? So I've seen dudes, and some of them have been my friends. I've seen dudes with great game, 0 status, shit looks, no money to their name, getting laid constantly, right?
Yeah.
I've seen dudes with like no looks, no money, but they've got status, getting laid constantly. Let me talk a little bit about status. Status is very contextual. I think when guys in this space talk about status, they talk about it as like an accumulation of looks and money and game, equal status, or like I'm a celebrity, therefore it's status. My first experience with status game, shall we say, right? Mm-hmm. Back when I was at university, I used to run this conference, a youth leadership conference, for university college students. And man, it had never been easier in my life until I got this job to get laid than when you are like a public speaker at a conference. Like if you're the guy running the show, every woman there wants to fuck you.
Wow.
You know, and that was a really solid example early on in my life of like the importance of like how how contextual status can be, and two, how powerful it can be, right? Because here's this little 100 student conference, right? All, you know, geeks and nerds and shit, and I was geeky and nerdy as well. But because I'm the motherfucker running this show, all these bitches want me. Outside of that context, I'm just a regular schmuck.
Yeah.
But within that context, I have fucking status.
Yeah.
Same example could apply to like an esports event, right? Some Korean StarCraft player is like the hot shit at this esports event. Every girl in the crowd wants to fuck him. You take that guy, put him in like a sports bar. No one has a fucking clue who he is. He's gonna get bullied, right? Like status is super contextual, and because of that, status is very hackable, right? It's very easy to set things up in your favor with status by like going to the same restaurant every time and getting to know the staff, you know, or rigging the game in your favor in such a way like that, you know, connecting with club promoters, connecting with bouncers and door guys, these kind of things. Little, it's super easy to hack. Game is learnable. Status is easily hackable.
Yeah.
Looks are optimizable, right? By hitting the fucking gym, right? Dressing well and figuring out a style. And then like image is like a aspect of style, image is an aspect of looks. So like if you have a certain image, a certain look, it blueprints onto chicks. One of my best friends, he like not a great looking dude, very boyish looks, you know, he's looked 16 his entire life, but and he, you know, like IT nerd. He when he started getting the pickup, started wearing a leather jacket, grew his hair long, looked like projected the image of a rocker dude, a rock star.
Right.
And girls just assume he is.
Yeah.
The guy's never picked up a guitar in his fucking life.
Yeah.
But every girl he meets in the club immediately assumes he is. And then therefore applies a bunch of positive traits to him just by virtue of the fact that he looks a certain way.
Yeah.
You know?
That a lot of these guys, they just don't like, you know, I have a huge background in sales and marketing, and I tell this story about this floral couch. I used to sell couches, right? So I would pick up couches from the free section off of Craigslist, and then I would clean them and sell them right back on Craigslist in the furniture section, right? It's called free cycling. And you know, I grew up really poor, so I was like always trying to like make a little extra money. I was always been a hustler, right? And I remember there was this white floral couch, and this thing was just like ugly as sin. And it was clean, it was pristine, but it was just so fucking ugly. And I tried selling it for $100, nobody wanted to buy it. Tried selling it for $80, nobody wanted to buy it. Tried selling it for $40 fucking dollars, nobody bought it. And I said, you know what? Let me try something. I fucking put the price up as $120, and I'll never forget, this Spanish guy showed up, and you look like that fucking couch was like a big, bare-chested, fucking blonde hottie. And he was like, I love this fucking couch. I love this couch so much. He sat down. He had the biggest smile on his face. You know, I was like 23-year-old kid at the time. And I was just like, holy shit. And it made me realize that, like, you know, there's like, you know, it's the same with women. Like, some women would look at you and be like, God, this guy is fucking super Chad. I want this guy to fucking, you know, extend my uterus with his huge dick. And then there's some girls that would look at you and be like, I don't, that guy's not really my type. I'm more like the fucking the Versace puppy holding guys, you know? So it's like, but there's nothing wrong with you. You just gotta get in where you fit in.
Exactly.
And it's like the menu at McDonald's. Like for me, I would never eat a Filet-O-Fish. That's disgusting. I'm a double cheeseburger guy my whole time. But there's people that go in there like, I am here for a Filet-O-Fish, and if you motherfuckers don't have one, I'm gonna throw a fit. And women are the same way. But a lot of guys, they just don't know how to market themselves and understand. A big part of it is marketing and volume. That's a big part there.
Yeah, and I think it helps a lot of dudes to have seen, especially guys that are more skeptical, it helps them to see someone in their situation succeeding, like doing someone they can sort of relate to, like, oh, this guy kind of looks like me, he's kind of got the same background as me, and he's doing this thing that I can't do, therefore it's doable. I think a great example I always like to use for dudes who are like a bit chubbier, a bit bigger dudes, Patrice O'Neill.
Oh, Gorilla Pimp.
That motherfucker,
Gorilla Pimp.
God bless his soul, I wish he was still alive. That
Seriously.
motherfucker will teach you everything you need to know about game. Listen to what was the show? The Black Phillip Show.
Black Phillip Show. Yes. It's
like the first, like, it gets shit a bit later on. The first 6 episodes though, where he's just like telling these chicks like what's for, are golden. And any guy who's like big, overweight, worried about his size, Patrice O'Neill didn't give a fuck about his size. He used it to his advantage.
Yep.
Like, he played on it. And I think, who's the other guy? I think Rich talked about him on that show on our show you guys did a while ago. Sean Stevenson.
Yeah.
Little dude in a wheelchair, like, the motherfucker, like, had game up the wazoo, like that. And I recognized him because he was on the David D'Angelo stuff way back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, you got no fucking excuse, man. Like, any excuse you make, I will find you an example of someone with the same problem fucking slaying it. It doesn't matter.
There's a guy in our community, and his name is Josh. He lives in Canada, and he's in a wheelchair, and he can't move from the neck down, and he seduces women.
Good for him.
You know, so there's no excuse. I remember I used to live in Waikiki, Hawaii, and I remember I saw this guy. He had a similar kind of situation to the guy we just mentioned, Steven. And I'll never forget this. I was walking down the street one day, feeling sorry for myself about like some shit that went wrong with my taxi driving day. And I'll never forget, I saw this guy in his motorized wheelchair, and he had some fucking hot-ass goth girl with huge tits, skinny too. Not like, I'm not stretching the truth to make this girl sound hotter than she is for the story's sake. This girl was fucking hot. And this dude was wheeling this bitch on the front of his wheelchair down Waikiki, and they were having the fucking time of their life. And I was like, God damn, this guy's a hero. This guy's a motherfucking hero. So yeah, I'm a big fan of telling guys, like, it's possible, but you just have to do, like, you have to do the work. You have to do the studying. You have to understand female psychology. You have to understand what creeps them out. You have to have social acuity. It can be very difficult if you're not adept, especially if you're like one of those guys who, like, you're a software engineer, you sit in a cubicle all day, you talk to 3 people, you go home, you fucking play, you know, StarCraft, League of Legends, whatever, and that's just what you do, and you don't have a lot of social experience. It'll be harder. Like, for me, I kind of had, like, I've worked a lot of jobs. You know, I used to be a pizza guy. I used to work at Olive Garden. I used to work in nightclubs. I used to be a taxi driver, English teacher. You know, so high traffic jobs of meeting a lot of people. That
very social jobs. Super
social jobs. And in America, if you're a shit waiter, like, you don't get a good tip. So you have to fucking really grease the palms of these people, make them feel nice. You got to learn to be a fucking charming asshole. You got to learn how to strategically take those L's in the restaurant when people come in there and abuse you. And, you know, just got to take it so you can get a good tip. So you have to, like, learn to do all these, like, social acuity things. So I kind of understand why they would think it's impossible, because they're very logic-driven men. But it's totally a learnable skill, I would say, without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm a very logical guy. Like, like, chemistry degree, fucking video game nerd, like, prior to going into pickup, like, never did a social job like a bartender or anything like that. It's like, I think the problem a lot of dudes, especially guys who are kind of new to this space right now, have is that, like, the pickup thing is kind of, I mean, guys like you and Troy Francis and Ryan Stone are kind of keeping it alive. But, you know, the old school pickup stuff is kind of gone now. Yeah. You know, because you can't really do the same thing, like the kind of stuff that was going on in, like, the 90s and early 2000s. You can't really do that anymore because of like phones and Me Too and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, our generation, we actually got to fucking practice this shit and get some of these skills down in a very experimental way, where I think these new guys don't, or at least don't feel like they had the same opportunity. But you've got to socialize yourself. Yeah, it's just say hi to a strange girl, a random girl every day. Like, simple as that. Something as simple as that. Like, you have to socialize yourself. Go to the fucking bar every day and talk to 10 strangers. You've got to just accumulate social experience, and that's when you'll learn social cues. That's when you'll learn if you're coming across creepy or not. It can't be read in a book. It has to be absorbed through experience. You can't cheat this.
Yep. Yeah. And that's exactly what these black pill guys do. I get on stream with them, I debate with them, and they say, like, well, this study says this, and that study says this. I'm like, listen, these fucking dork-ass scientists in their labs with their fucking lab coats, they're light years behind guys like us who have real in-field knowledge. Because the observer effect alone shows that, like, just by people observing something, the outcome will change just because something's being observed. Real quick, Tiger the Brave, he sent me 14 czars. I don't know what that is. But he said, did you ever catch feelings for a co-star?
Yeah, it's happened. Yeah, I mean, I've dated like multiple different porn stars over the course of being in this industry.
Did you bang that one girl? She got stabbed by War Machine. What's her name?
Oh,
Amber? No, I don't know.
I think I know. He's like an MMA guy, right? And he beat her up
pretty bad.
I think I know who you're talking about, and no, I can't remember her name, but no, I didn't bang her.
John P says he's got to buy Stirling's book now. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Christy Mack, that's her name. Yeah, Christy Mack.
Oh no, I've never worked with Christy Mack.
No, is she popular? No. Is she like really?
She's out. She's out of the industry now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of. It's kind of girls come in and out pretty quickly. It's like
really.
It's kind of funny. Like a lot of girls will only be around for like 2 or 3 years, and they'll be done.
Just too much for them.
Yeah, it can take its toll. It's a combination. Sometimes they get shot out. So like every studio has shot them a bunch of times, and there's no more real demand for them from the fans.
It's kind of like almost like real life. Like, you know, after you bang a girl a couple times, you're like, yeah, I gotta move on.
Right. After everyone has fapped to her like X amount of times, they don't want to see her scenes anymore. Whatever. That's one of the reasons. Sometimes girls just burn out, and sometimes they just they make enough money off their own fan base now that they don't have to rely on shitty mainstream stuff anymore.
I see a lot of them jump into Twitch.
Yeah, I haven't really seen that many girls go from mainstream porn to Twitch per se. A lot of the porn stars that are on Twitch were gamers anyway. They were nerdy anyway. There's a lot of nerds in our industry.
I mean, yeah, okay, let me tell you something. I don't know if you probably have had an experience like this, but I'm not joking. I used to hook up with this Laotian girl. She's Americanized, right? I'll never forget this girl. This pussy drove me crazy, but she was a gamer and a nerd, and she said she used to masturbate since she was 16, and I met her when she was 21. And I'm not joking. She could like produce like about half of this amount of liquid to shoot out of her vagina on command. That pussy drove me fucking insane. When I take my last breath and I'm dying in bed, I will be thinking about that fucking sexual experience. Like, fuck my kids, fuck my wife, all that shit. I'm gonna be thinking about that. Have you ever been with a girl that can do that? Is that a learnable skill? Yeah,
it is actually. Girls learn it in the industry. Like
where does that liquid come from, and how did they keep making it?
Okay, so this is a kind of a controversial topic. So let me clarify one thing first. When you see squirting, in a porno, it's pee. But in real life, girls can squirt.
And is that coming out the pee hole, or where's that coming out?
It's coming out of the pee hole, but it's being produced by a thing called the Skene's gland. And the Skene's gland is kind of like the female equivalent of the male prostate.
What is this liquid? Is it water? Or?
Well, it's actually the composition is very similar to like seminal fluid minus the sperm. Okay. And it's coming out the female Skene's gland. Yeah. So that is actually like when a girl squirts, like legit squirts, that's what's happening. But basically, whenever you see a professional porno, which is based around, like the theme of the porno is squirting, the girls are chugging like 2 liters of water so that their pee runs clear, and then they're just pissing all over everyone.
Huh.
Yeah. So I was really into squirting before I got into porn. Like, if I came across a girl who squirted, I was just like, this is so fucking hot.
Because not every girl can squirt, right?
It's a learnable skill.
Okay.
Let's just say that. They can, like, some girls just do it naturally when they orgasm. Others,
you spell that? How do you spell that gland again?
Skene.
Skene. I'm going to look this up after.
Skene's gland.
Skene's gland. Interesting. Yeah. So you said some girls just naturally are okay with it, and then some girls it's a learned ability.
Yeah, they got to learn to sort of, like, because a lot of girls you'll see, like, I talk about this in the book too. You'll where's my hand? Here we go. Mm-hmm. Like the devil's horns, right?
Yeah.
Imagine this, like, this way up.
Yeah.
My fucking camera. So this is like I'm fucking hitting the G spot on the inside of her vagina with these two fingers. Like, hitting that spot tends to get a girl to squirt. A lot of girls will have an experience where they've been fucked and they'll feel like they need to pee. If a girl ever says this to you, if a girl ever is ever like, oh, I really feel like I need to pee during sex, like while you're hitting the G spot, you can tell her to, like, let go. If she can convince herself and relax enough to let go, she will have a squirting orgasm.
So are you when you're because I'm familiar with that technique? So are you pushing up and are you like kind of like, you know, like you push out like the end of a toothpaste? Are you doing something like that? Like you're kind of squeezing out the liquid?
No,
is that what you're doing?
You just hammer it. You just apply pressure. I just apply constant hard pressure to it enough. I mean, so I'm talking about, like, I do this on like professional girls to get them to squirt, you know. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty heavy handed on them. You might not want to be so heavy handed on, like, the average.
Right.
Girl.
So it's like a stimulation based thing. You're stimulating it.
Yeah, you're putting pressure on the soft spongy G spot tissue. Yeah, just on the inside of the vaginal wall.
So it's kind of like the tip of the penis head. Like you stimulate it, you ejaculate. Same thing. That you're not like physically moving liquid.
No.
Okay, I see. Pretty fucking fantastic. Let me ask you. let me ask you this. Okay, so a lot of guys, in my opinion, are pretty shit at sex. Would you say the average guy is pretty shit at sex?
I mean, I haven't had sex with many men, so I can't give a very no. But from what I have heard from my like co-stars and stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm. And here's the weird thing: you'll like I said before, a lot of my co-stars will moonlight as escorts as well, right? Especially, you know, in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, New York, right?
A lot of sugar babies there, yeah.
Yeah, not even sugar baby, just straight up straight up escort.
Yeah. Sugar baby light, kind of.
Yeah. But the funny thing, like a very common thing you'll hear is girls who have fucked professional athletes. Mm-hmm. A lot of these dudes aren't even that good in bed.
Wow.
A lot of these and that stands to reason. Like they're getting pussy like thrown at them constantly. They don't have to be good in bed to keep chicks around. They don't have to be good in bed to attract.
They don't have to do anything but show up.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it. Why not? I mean, it's obvious. The fact that, especially before porn, the fact that I could hook girls purely through like fucking them right, said a lot about like the average dude's ability in bed.
For sure, these bitches will move mountains for good dick.
For good dick, right? I mean, I'm I'm not necessarily proud of it, but I had a lot of girls cheating on their boyfriends, their husbands, their fiancés with me because I was giving them good dick.
Get any stalkers?
Yeah, I had a couple. Yeah, nothing too serious. Not in the same city, like in a different state.
I had one chick. Her name was Heather. She was married, right? Not my proudest moment, but she would fucking. I remember one night she sat outside of my house and waited for me to get home at 2:30 in the morning to make sure I wasn't coming home with another girl.
Ugh.
And that was wild.
Oh man, that reminds me. I had this one dated this French girl once, hairdresser, like super hot, like one of the hottest girls ever. Like big natural titties, like long flowing, like red hair, like gorgeous face. But she was the most like jealous person I've ever met in my entire life. The slightest thing to make her jealous, right? So I
That
remember one
turns me
night.
on. I love when they get obsessed.
Oh, dude. I was I don't know if you this is how much of a nerd I am. I'm gonna reveal my nerd card right now.
Go ahead.
I play Magic the Gathering, if any of your viewers know
We just talked about that the other day. Who was on the show? We talked about John from Bulldog Mindset was talking about that.
Oh no way! Nice,
yeah,
excellent. I might have to bring some decks down to the event. I'll play with them. So I play Magic the Gathering, right? I went went to a buddy's house with a few friends to play some Magic, right? So like 6 nerdy dudes. A woman wouldn't have come near us,
right?
You know, if you'd fucking paid her. We were that geeky. My phone dies. I think nothing of it. I get home, plug the phone in. As it lights up, it's just constantly like bing, 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 message, voicemail, missed call, message, voicemail, missed call. I ended up with I think it was 15 voice messages and 40 text messages from this chick. And the progression was the beautiful thing. It started out like, hey, what are you doing tonight? I've got nothing on. Hey, hit me back when you're free.
God,
what are you up to? Where are you? Who is she?
Yeah.
And then the voice messages were her just like crying. You're like, why are you doing this to me? Who is she? Why would you do it? Like, Jesus. Right.
Oh man, that is fucking hilarious, dude. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh pleb. So I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And I used to sneak out because my girlfriend. I didn't want to let her know I had a nerdy ass hobby, and similar story to that, she thought I was sneaking off to go fuck another chick. So I remember one time she followed me to the shop, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And she's like, "What is this place?" I was like, "It's nothing." And she walked over to it, and she looked. She's like, "Is this like a card game shop? You play like a card game here?" I was like, "Yeah, bitch, I win every fucking weekend too." And she's like, "I'm so sorry. I thought you were cheating on me." She's a girl from church, you know. And so she's like, "I thought you were cheating on me." And I was like, "You need to go to Chick-fil-A and get me a #1 with fucking high C, fruit punch, half lemonade, diet lemonade, cheese and bacon on that Chick-fil-A sandwich, and you better do it right now." Absolutely hilarious, because when they love you, man, they lose their mind. But I don't want to get all dready and say I don't believe in love, but I believe you can fuck the addiction of good sex into a woman that she'll think she loves you. Along those lines.
Something like that.
Okay, so I want to ask you another question. Tell me about this. For the average guy, okay, you want to give a woman a pleasurable sexual experience. From the moment she comes into your house, blah, 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 consent, whatever. We're not talking about rape for all you weirdos watching. Consensually, she comes, she sits down on the sofa. You want to give her the fucking Sterling Cooper delight. You want this bitch stalking the shit out of you. From A to Z, what do you do from the first kiss to blowing your last load and just psychologically scarring her in a positive way?
Was it leaving the mark of Cain on her?
Absolutely.
For me, I learnt this pretty early on in my pickup journey. I think it was from, and I want to credit the dudes I learned it off properly. I think the 2 pickup artists that kind of coined it, that one of them was Captain Jack and the other guy was called Sin, if I remember correctly. And they talked about like sexual framing and coquetting. Mm-hmm. And this has become a large part of my like closing game. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I don't really have to do that much now with industry girls, but like with civilians, yes.
Yeah.
Like girls, like civilians who are girls.
I know, I love it. I love it. Like, oh, she's a fucking civilian. You know, I met her at Starbucks.
Yeah.
She's not one of us.
Yeah, exactly. Not one of us. So like the idea of coquetting is basically what strippers do.
Mm-hmm.
So what a stripper does, she gets her tits in your face, and then she tells you you can't touch her. Like she grinds upon your lap, and then she slaps your hand if you try to grab her ass. Like it's the sexual push pull. So if you're in a practical example of doing this with a chick is like, oh, like I get her in the door, like as soon as I walk to the door, I turn around, I push her up against the wall, like by the throat, making out with her, grabbing the back of her head, and then I let her go and I make myself a cup of coffee, or I make myself a tea, or I give myself some water. Like, bang, like give her like take her to 10 and then take her to 0.
Oh wow!
Like, and separate and create the distance, and she's just hot and heavy. The pussy's getting wetter, and then it's just a repeating of that through each step of the process as I'm going from like making out to groping to like if we're getting like hot and heavy and groping each other, like I might grab her hand, put it on my dick, and then not let her undo. And if she goes to like undo my belt or unzip my fly, I like smack her hand and tell her to get off and go away. You know, like I'm in control of like the speed at which this escalates, not you. You know, and then when it comes to like. Then when we eventually get to sex and stuff, it's like, okay, like I always like to play like make them beg for me to put it in, you know, like I'll literally just give them the fucking tip. I'm like, I'll just keep sticking the tip in because that fucking drives them ballistic. They hate it / love it. You just stick the tip in for like a minute or two, and like until you literally have them sitting there fucking begging for the whole thing. And then when you slam the whole thing in, the eyes roll on the back of the head, and it's like they're in heaven.
Fuck yeah!
That's pretty common. Kind of
awesome.
A common approach that I use. But like, I don't do it as much these days. But I used to throw in a bit of bondage into my like, not necessarily the first time I'm sleeping with a girl, but like the second or third time I'd see her, I'd seed the date, shall we say? I'd seed the experience with like, oh, have you ever, you know, played around with rope or bondage or anything like that? Have you ever been tied up? Get the idea going in her head before she comes over, and then when she's over, like I'll just take her through a really basic like bondage tie. And it was funny the first time I ever did it. So I went onto YouTube, Googled like how to do like I think it was like a chest harness, so it makes their titties pop. Looks fucking hot. Oh. I Googled how to do a chest harness, and I'm sitting there with my laptop open, playing the video, like stopping it, starting it, as I'm doing this to this chick. And I'm like, first time I've ever done it, so it's really slow, and I'm literally like watching a YouTube tutorial as I'm doing it. But this girl, like, the juices were literally running down her goddamn leg. Because I was taking forever to do it, but the whole idea of just going through that process, and she wasn't even like restrained. It was more of a decorative piece, but just the aspect of doing that and doing it slowly, really like the anticipation, the build up really got to her. And that was a really interesting experience too, because I had this playlist going on my Spotify of the Arctic Monkeys.
Fuck what is this?
That was playing like the whole time we were fucking.
What is Arctic Monkeys?
Oh, they're a UK band.
Okay.
Yeah. Good stuff. You might enjoy it.
Rock, trance, what are they?
Rock, like indie rock.
Okay, cool.
So I just had an Arctic Monkeys playlist going. And this girl worked in a bar. So 2 days later, she sent me a text message. Somebody in her bar had turned on the jukebox. And they played an Arctic Monkeys song, and she immediately got dripping wet. Because she texted me, "Hey, were you playing Arctic Monkeys when we had sex the other night?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Damn," because some motherfucker just put it on, and my panties are now wet.
That's fucking, it's like Pavlovian, man.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Pavlov's pussy, man.
That is fantastic, dude. Man, dude, you need to start a fucking YouTube channel or something. And like,
I actually do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't put anything on it in like 2 years. I did some interviews with porn stars when I was traveling around, when I was working in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I put this is, and you can tell like it's kind of I'm kind of embarrassed to have them still up there. I'm a much more experienced dude now.
That's awesome though.
There's only like a few videos up there. But I've thought about interviewing like other porn stars and getting their opinions on dating and relationships and doing something like that. But
Dude,
I don't know. Your channels are much. I like coming on your channels. You guys are fun. You guys are fun to talk to.
Yeah, we're not as vanilla as other places. Some guy thinks you look like Dave Bautista. Says very informative. Tell Dave Bautista thanks.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah, man. No, like I just on this channel, on this interview with the man, I just like to have the conversations that everybody's having in their mind, but nobody's really has the balls to talk about. Let's talk about you and I kind of from the same generation. You're 33, so what are you, 86, 87?
87.
87. Okay, I'm 85. And you know, I when I was younger, I like would be like, what are these older guys talking about? But now I'm like feel like I'm the older guy talking about what do you think about like these younger dudes that are like, quite honestly, like I just see like an epidemic of dudes that are gigantic pussies. Like, are you noticing that? I mean, you're in LA.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'm in the heart of it, man.
Right. What do you think's like the cause of it? What do you think? What are just your general thoughts on it? I'm not leading you down a path. I just sincerely want to know what you think.
It's an epidemic of like being directionless, being like fucking simps, being complete pussies. Like, no, it's because no one's like I mean, actually, you were saying you're more of a natural, and you had a more socialized kind of like start in life.
Yeah.
Like, I had to learn this shit on my own. My dad never taught me any of this crap. And I don't get me wrong, I love my father. I have a great relationship with my father, but he was a provider. Like, he wasn't a dad that passed down life lessons to his sons. I never learned anything from my dad, especially when it comes to women and life and hitting the gym and dating and this kind of stuff. Like, we are one of the first generations to be like, we don't really know what the fuck we're doing. Like, we better, like, who can teach us? Like, and then the fucking internet happened and everyone started talking and compiling ideas. So like, it's just, and the problem has just exacerbated. Like, fathers aren't really teaching their sons, these really important life lessons around like health, wealth, relationships, primarily because they haven't got the shit figured out themselves either. You know, and that comes down to like Western society, at least, being like a feminist society, basically. Like, the father is no longer important, and masculinity is toxic and no longer important, and all this bullshit.
I mean, yeah, like, I just don't understand how these dummies get through life. Life is just too easy that they're actually making up problems that don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, it takes a special kind of someone to like to be living in a Western society and find things to bitch and complain about. Like, really.
Yeah, it takes a special kind of fucking dork.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, guys in like the red pill space will complain about feminism and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, like, we'll complain about it, but I'm still fucking getting on with my life. I'm not using it. I'm not a victim of it. I'm not using it as an excuse to not improve myself and not do the fucking work.
What do you think about feminism? You think it's already reached its peak, or do you think that we're gonna get worse and shit's gonna get worse for everybody, or you feel like we're kind of starting to see the tide turn? What do you think?
It's interesting. I mean, being on Twitter, you get a kind of skewed view of things depending upon who you follow, right?
Right.
Like, my Twitter is a weird combination of like dudes in like the kind of red pill space, and then all these blue pill porn stars.
Yeah.
So I get to see things from both sides, and it's only gotten like more and more extreme especially the last 10 years, especially since Trump. Like, everything's they just keep ratcheting things up, like drag queen story hour and crap like that. It's like where is this gonna end? And I might have thought, like, back in like 2016 when Trump got elected, I might have thought, oh, like, maybe this is like the turning of the tide. Maybe everyone's kind of like, this is like a big fuck you. But it sort of hasn't, and it's just gotten worse, and especially in America.
Yeah.
But then again, it's harder these days to trust like what you see on from mainstream like news networks.
Yeah.
Because they all said that Trump wasn't going to get elected, and then the motherfucker got elected. So like, there's a giant gap. There's a giant section of the population whose opinions are not being expressed properly. So you don't really have a clue of like the actual like the cultural barometer that's going on.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think it's like there's nothing. I can't see anything that's going to curtail it. I can't see anything that's going to slow it down. Because the one thing that's for damn sure is this world is the Western society is not running out of simps anytime soon.
Simp Nation, America.
Like,
Simp Nation #1.
It just keeps ratcheting up. It keeps being more mainstream, being more normalized. So like dudes are being like betas are being farmed, like fresh out of the womb. And when you have a nation full of dudes who aren't masculine, the inevitable consequence is like a very feminist society. So I honestly just think it's going to get worse and worse and worse until the whole thing fucking collapses.
Are you okay with that?
Well, I won't be here when that happens. I'm going to move.
So you think we'll just have to endure it in our lifetime?
I think so. I think you make the most. You play to win. Like, here's the like. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I can fucking change the world. Like more power to guys who want to. If that's what you're passionate about. If you're like a family values guy, you want to bring back. You want to bring back more like Judeo-Christian like ethic to the West. If that's your goal and your mission in life, good for you. You go do that. I'm a bit more of a pragmatist. I'm like, okay, well, here's the cards I've been dealt in life. Here's the world I live in. Here's reality. How do I get the best out of this situation? Like, how can I take advantage of this? That's kind of how I approach life.
Do you think that we've always been Simp Nation? It's just the technology's kind of exposing it a little bit, or no?
No, man. Like, friggin' American. I did some reading on it. Like, back in, I think it was like as recent as like the 40s. Like, kids in America would take guns to school and do like you would do like part of your PE class in America was like firearm training. This was like a legit thing. Like, you'd take your gun, put it in your locker, and in PE class you'd go shoot some guns. And dudes and kids would do boxing and wrestling and shit. Like, that actually happened in America. There's a reason why America won the Cold War. Like, you had this, like, America had like a lot of bravado.
Yeah.
And a lot of like strong masculine like features, and like with driving home capitalism and this kind of stuff. And obviously like Australia and Canada and like the UK and everything else, all these other Western nations sort of followed suit. But I genuinely don't think that America has always been this bad. And England's the same thing. England's another really good example. Like, England was like the dominant world power for so goddamn long. Went about and like made the rest of the world abolish slavery as well, and they never get credit for that. Like, sailed the 7 seas, like killing anyone who was trading slaves, right?
Yeah.
And yet England's the bad guy. Like, I love like really old like colonial era movies that kind of capture the essence of like British national pride. Right. Or like Commonwealth pride that existed like around like the end of the First World War. Like, that's a nation of like going out and fucking conquering the world and colonizing shit. Yeah, like, people suffer. Like, people are like, you're literally imposing your will on another nation. Like, you're dominating people. That's a pretty Chad society right there. If you're going to go out and fucking conquer land,
for sure.
And that was like the last time that happened. And then the empire collapsed, and nowadays, like, England's national pride is it's starting to come back, but it's really taken a fucking beating.
Yeah,
like, people don't even like wave St. George's flags, like UK flags on St. George's Day anymore.
They got Meghan Markle now.
Poor bastards.
Adriano Ramos with the $2 says, "Do you have a nickname like the Italian Stallion?"
No, I don't. But I've worked for the Italian Stallion, Rocco Siffredi. I've worked for him. Yeah.
Simps like going to a strip club Ask your uncle. Yeah, man. Um,
You know what? There's a common misconception. Like a lot of people mistake uh, the acronym SIMP. I think I've heard Rollo say it comes from sympathetic. That's wrong. SIMP is an acronym for sucker idolizing mediocre pussy.
I think
That's what SIMP means.
yeah, I think he's talking about the black community when they would put SYMP also because you were sympathizing with women. You were a sympathizer.
Well, to me, that like sucker idolizing mediocre pussy sounds more like a black culture like acronym to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you ever watch the documentary American Pimp?
No, I have not.
You should check that out.
Yeah,
that's some gangster shit. Sterling, you're the fucking man, bro. I cannot wait to meet you in October at Rule Zero Live, guys. Tickets gonna go on sale soon. I don't know when, but we'll talk about it. Be sure to check out Mr. Sterling Cooper's book, How I Grew My Penis and Other Porn Industry Secrets. For you guys that are just trying to, just keep it real. You want a bigger dick? You want to bang some broads? You want them fucking throwing rocks at your house in the middle of the night? I'm a big fan. Dude, the more obsessed a girl is with me, like the fucking like, I'm like, yeah, baby, like fucking show me some of my blood you took when I was sleeping. Like, I want to see like the real psychotic shit. I get off on it. I really do. When my girlfriend like gets really possessive, she's like, "Who's this girl? She commented here. She liked this photo. Who is she? You following her?" And I'm like, "Babe, I don't know." But inside, I'm like, "Yeah, fucking stalk me more." So, you're an awesome guy, Sterling. How can they follow you if they would like to follow you? Where should we send them?
The best place to get in touch with me, just to see what I'm up to, is my Twitter.
Okay.
My Twitter is at Stirling Cooper X.
Right here.
That's me.
Stirling Cooper X.
And it is safe for work these days. It is not. There's no. You won't see me putting any like hardcore pornography or anything on it.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, guys, that's going to do it for us today here on Interview with a Man. Listen, guys, don't forget, don't bust that nut yet. All right. Tomorrow, John McAfee is going to be on the Tokyo Crypto Show at a special time here, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to know about cryptocurrency, cybersecurity, what's going on with the United States government, COVID-19, the whole 9 yards, taxes, we're going to talk to John about every single thing possible. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like, comment, do the whole 9 yards, and come back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, guys, take care. Peace out.